Okay, we are going to make a little assignment. I thought we needed to kind of get more into using fake images and Latin text and kind of laying out a page in Bootstrap. You know, just the more we do it, the more you're going to get used to it. So I created an example, and I cannot find the videos or the finished example, but I have a copy of what it looks like. So I'm going to build it, and you and I are going to build it from scratch. I'm going to make the video. So here's what the top looks like. It's in a container, and I kind of made some stupid quotes or grabbed a quote, and then I have just kind of, you know, basic layout of different things happening on the page. And again, I'm trying to get you to do Bootstrap enough where you look at every web page as a box with rows and how many columns are in the row. So it looks like that in the end. And so I'm going to go over to Web Design 2 homepage, and then I'll click on modules. I know I'm in this teacher side, so bear with me here. So it's right here, week 3, advanced fake image and Latin text page, I call it. And when I click on the assignment, I'm going to download, you know, this Bootstrap template that's all set up for you, ready to go. I make it so easy. So what I'm going to do is download it. Let me put it somewhere, and I will call it. I'm going to save the zip file, but I'm going to put my name, and then I'm just going to say advanced. So this is, I'm renaming the zip file, and I'm going to save it. And then on a Mac, this is a little different. On a Chromebook, I know, and on a PC. But here it is. It's going to show me where it is. I'm going to double click it to open it up. Now on a Chromebook, what you want to do is, here's the folder inside the zip file. And I'm going to rename this, instead of Bootstrap template folder, I'm going to put my name and just say advanced. Okay? And again, now when I'm done with my assignment in here, all I have to do is right-click this folder that I just renamed, because it has everything inside of it here, and I can rename, or excuse me, I can zip it. Now on a Mac it says compress, but on a Chromebook you'll say zip selection. So now again, I've given you a folder and all these little zip files that have the template in it. They're already hooked up inside the folder, the CSS folder, to this file called bootstrapmin.css, which makes the Bootstrap work. We will always add a little CSS file and drop it in this CSS folder and then link to it. Okay, and that will color our page and design it, whatever. Okay, so I am all set to go, right? So I'm going to right-click this. I'm going to open it with, now you guys are probably using Carrot if you have a Chromebook. I'm going to use Atom. Same thing, they're all text editors, and they all recognize different types of coding languages, and we'll color them, the language, differently. So bear with me here. Let me get all these welcome things out of the way here. Okay, so here we are, a template, and I'm going to rename this template. It doesn't really matter because I renamed the folder. But what I like to do is I'm going to go File, Save As. I'm going to make a copy of this in the folder. Notice it's in the same location as where the template web page is. And again, this is something you don't have to do, but I like to do it. Advanced.html, that's the most important part, because now the coding, the text editor and the browser will recognize what we're doing as a web page because of this .html. And click off of that. I'm going to save it. Okay, now it changed. See, it changed names, and it's all set to go. And it's in, again, it's in the same location as the template. I just made a copy of it. It's already linked up to the Bootstrap min file right here. And then it's linked up to another file that I have not created yet called your style sheet here. I'm just going to call this advanced. And even though I haven't created it, that's the assignment name. But the main thing is you want to store this. Notice it's looking for it inside the CSS folder. So once we create it, we'll drop it in this, make sure it's in the CSS folder. This way this link that's looking for it in the CSS folder can find it. Okay? So we'll get to that later on. So I'm going to come down to my body. I'm going to keep saving. Hold the control key down and press S as you work, or on a Mac, command and control are kind of back and forth. So control on a PC or a Chromebook, you hold the control key down and press S to save. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build a container. And as you've heard me yak many times in the videos, I like to make things, and then before I put anything in them, I will close them off. Just because what happens is you're working so fast you'll forget. And then you'll have errors. So I'm also going to make a comment. Just kind of what it is, what's closing. Okay? And notice the comment has an angle bracket, exclamation, and then a dash dash, and then closed container, dash dash, other angle bracket. And notice it turns gray. So even though it's there, we can read it, it's not changing the code. The text editor is not reading it. So inside the container, I'm going to make a row, the first row. We're going to have multiple rows. And again, the word row is the magic word that Bootstrap recognizes. I'm going to hit the return key, enter key, and again close off. And I'm going to make a comment because we're going to have multiple rows. And all I'm going to say is first row closed. I like to show where I'm closing things. Not typically where I'm opening, but where I'm closing things. So inside the row, if you looked at our example, we're going to have a long column that's going to take over the whole row. And again, the magic number in Bootstrap is 12. So the columns within a row have to add up to 12. Well, we're going to have one big, long, horizontal column. So that's going to be column 12. So I'm going to call dash, and I want it to break when it's small. And there's 4 break areas: large, LG, MD, SM, and XS for extra small. I always use SM or MD, typically SM. So I'm going to use, again, I'm going to make this column 12. So it's going to be one big column inside the row. And again, the magic number to close a row is 12. So the columns have to add up to 12 within a row. All right, so here I am. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to grab a fake image. And there's a site that I came across this summer called fakeimg.pl. Okay? And I'm going to go down here, and I want to keep the color, so I'm going to grab the third one. And the third one gives me a fake image that's 250 wide by 100 pixels high, and then there's a slash, and then it gives me a hexadecimal color number. Okay? So I'm going to copy that third line. I'm going to go back into my coding. I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to make this, instead of 250, 1200. And I'm going to make it 200 high. So it's 1200 x 200. And then the color, I'm going to go, I think I just kind of made this up. FFCC FF. Okay? And I'm going to save it. Hold my control key down and press S, or command key and press S. And then I'm going to, now I can go quickly in a browser, but on a Chromebook, you're going to find this on your Chromebook, view it. When you right click it, there's 2 options. View it, put it in caret, or view it, which means put it in a browser and view it. And when I look at it, there it is right there. Okay? Now notice it's not in the middle or anything, so no worries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this rectangle in the middle. I'm going to say text dash center. So what I've done is in the quotation marks for this column, not the row, but the column, I'm telling Bootstrap you know, I wanted a big column. That makes Bootstrap work right there. There's a space, and then there's another class name. There are two class names for this column. And this is going to put everything that's inside this column in the middle of that area. So again, I'm going to save it and show you. And let me, come on. So believe it or not, it is. It should be. It should be in that area there. All right. So now what I'm going to do is, that's the first column, and we're done with the row. Okay. So I'm going to stay inside the container, and I'm going to hit the Enter key or Return key, and I'm going to go. Notice I'm still inside the big box called Container. I'm going to make the second row. So the second row is div class equals row, and again I'm going to close it first, and I'll make a comment of where I'm closing it. And this will alleviate any headaches if I'm trying to figure out where things open and close if I have issues. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to make, let's see here. I'm going to make another row, and it's going to be a column. Now this is weird. I'm going to make another column 12. And it's not weird, it's just different. I'm going to make a whole big column. And again, I'm going to close the column before I do anything with it. And so I'm going to make an HR tag. So all I'm going to do is inside it, I'm going to say HR. Okay, and I'm going to save it. And I like to do this. An HR is very clean in Bootstrap, a lot more cleaner than just regular HTML. Bootstrap looks at this tag and it sets it up a certain way already. Now I can talk to that tag and redo it, but if you look at it, see this thin, I don't know if you can see it, but see this thin line? It does a really good job of separating things out, and from a design point, it's very subtle. And I like that subtleness. So I have a whole row and a whole column 12 dedicated, and the only thing in it is an HR tag. Okay, I think that's really the proper way to do it in Bootstrap. Okay, so we're done with the second row. I'm going to go, again, I'm going to stay inside this container. Here's where we're closing it. I'm above that. I'm going to make another row. Okay, the third row. And inside the third row, I'm going to make a column 7. So and again, before I do anything, I'm going to make sure I close off the div. And inside the column, let's see here. Inside the column 7, I'm going to say a large heading and then a paragraph. So I'm going to do, I think I have an H2 tag there. So I'm going to do H2. I'm going to say this is a heading. And then inside the column is going to be a P full with paragraph text. So I'm going to do the opening P and then the closing P. Now in Atom, and let me save this. So in Atom, what I'm going to do is I can right click and do an L. Now you might have to grab a paragraph of text. Now see how it puts it in one line? This is something that happens in Atom. And what I'm going to do is when that happens, I'm going to go to View, View, toggle, soft wrap. And it's going to wrap the paragraph in the window, however wide the window that I'm working in Atom is. Okay, I don't think Caret does that. I think you're good. But remember, the magic number is 12, and I have 7 so far, so I have 5 left to get to 12. Okay, now what I'm going to do is there's a magic class name to make text really readable, and let me do this first and show you. So here's what I've done so far, and again I have 5 more columns to work with within this third row to close it. The magic number is 12. But notice the text right here. I'm going to add a class name to the paragraph tag called lead, L-E-A-D. And this is a Bootstrap class name that changes the font and makes it a little bit larger and makes it super clean. I think it's Verdana that they use, which is a type of font. But I mean, all I did was add the class name to the paragraph, save it, and then let me go back in here. Aha! So what it did was, notice it made the text larger and then also chose a clean, really super clean font. Okay? And that's just by adding that class name to the paragraph tag called lead, L-E-A-D. Okay, so I'm in. Here's my column 7 closing. I'm going to go below my column 7. Notice I'm still inside the third row. And I'm going to hit the Enter key or Return key. And I'm going to do a column 5. Sorry here. So I'm going to do a column 5. And then, also what I want to do is on the column 7, I'm going to add inside the column -7, I'm going to add that text -center. And that's going to center up the text inside that column 7 area. So to do this, I tried talking to the row when I first got into Bootstrap, and it doesn't really work with text center in a row. But when you talk to the column, whatever is in the column, it'll place it in the middle of that column area, however horizontally wide that is, and that's what we just did. So I'm going to go down. Again, I'm still inside the third row, if you see my cursor. And I'm going to do a column 5. And again, I like to close it before I do anything, so I never have to remember did I close it, because I always do before I do anything inside of it. So inside the column 5, I'm going to do a fake image. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this line. Oh, let me get the whole thing here. I'm going to grab this line of code, and I'm going to come down here in the column 5 and paste it. Now, it's not going to be 1200. I'm going to change. It's going to be 500 wide by 400. And then the color is going to be CC 99F0, I believe. And it's going to look something like that. Okay? Now, I'm also going to do the same thing in this column, where I'm going to add inside the quotation marks the words text-center. And then it'll place it in the middle. I don't know if you can really see that, but that's what it is. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is, we're done with the third row, because we have 5 and 7, which equals 12. And that's with 12, we can close this row. Now notice I'm going to stay, I'm still inside this darn big container here, and I'm making the 4th row. So I am going to make another row. And I'm going to make a column 12. And then I'm going to make an HR tag again. That lovely HR to kind of, again, it's a simple, it's very clean in Bootstrap. They do a super job of designing this thing already. Now I can talk to this tag all I want in my separate little CSS file and do whatever I want to it. But Bootstrap does a really good job of doing that. Oh, I forgot to do this. I apologize. So this is the row closed. So it would be the fourth row closed. I apologize for that. I'm still inside the container. So that row is just going to have a long, elongated HR. And I don't know if you can see that at the bottom of the screen, but it's below the image. And it's just a nice separation on the page. Okay, so now, Coco, shh, shh. I'm going to do my fifth row. Woo! And so I'm going to make div class equals row. Oh, sorry. Again, close it off. Make a fifth row. And on the fifth row, I'm going to do a couple quotes. And let me get this straight here. So I'm going to make two column sixes. And in the column sixes, let's see here, I'm going to do a P, and I'm going to give it a class name of quote dash text. And I'm going to close off the P before I do anything. Okay. And so let me see what I'm going to do here. So the quote is, oops, sorry. Don't believe my V key. Don't believe anything that you read on the internet. It may be fake. Okay. And then below it, in the same column, below the paragraph that I just typed out, I'm going to do another P. And it is going to have a class name of blog post dash bottom and then a space and the words pull left. This is we're doing a Bootstrap class name. So it's blogs dash post dash bottom and then a space and the words pull dash left. So this is all one thing here. And this is separated by a space and then the words pull dash left. And let me close the P here. Man, I can't type today. More coffee. And then I'm going to say Abraham Lincoln, because that's who said it, I guess. That's fake, but that's who said it. Now, I have not talked to I haven't created my separate CSS file. So let's see how this looks. And again, this is column 6. So we're going to do another column 6 in this row here. Oh, sorry. So I'm going to talk to this later on and design it. Okay. So that's what it looks like. You can barely see it, and I'll design it when I do my separate CSS file, and we'll talk to this name right here and design it, and we'll talk to this name right here and design it. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to do a whole nother column 6, I'm going to highlight this column that I just did and copy it. And notice I'm still in the 5th row. Again, to close a row, you have to get up to 12, and we have 6 so far. So I'm going to paste it again, and I'm going to add inside this column 6 up here. I'm going to add text dash center, and that's going to put everything in the middle. And then I'm going to come up here because I forgot to do it. This first column 6 in the 5th row, and just say text dash center. And that's, again, for the column, anything that's in the column is going to be put in the middle. And so on this second column 6 that I copied here, I'll use the same quote, and I'll put my name here. Okay? But notice they have the same, let's see here. And instead of pull left on the second one, so the first one is pull left up here, first column 6, and the second one's going to be pull right. So I'm going to save it and then just show you where we are here. So there they are, and what that's doing is by pulling left, it takes the Abraham Lincoln and pulls it to the left-hand side of the column. And then the pull right, it'll take my name and pull it to the right-hand side of the column. Okay, that's what pull dash left, and that's a bootstrap thing. Okay, but we'll design this at the end. All right, so I have the 5th row done. Now I'm going to go to the 6th row, and I'm going to do another HR. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and find a div, find a row that just has an HR in it. Okay, so I got the row, column 12, the HR tag, the closing of the column 12, and the closing of the row, and I highlighted it and I copied it. And then I can go down here and paste it. Now, this won't be our 4th row close, this will be our 6th. Okay, but I did that just very quickly. And then again, the way it looks is now I have another line in between, just below the quotes of Abraham Lincoln and myself. I mean, good company, people, good company. And then I'm going to go, I've got a couple more things to do, so I'm going to go, I'm still inside this large container. Okay, and now I'm working, believe it or not, on the 7th row. And I have an HR tag. Now I'm going to make a row, and it's because this is a heading. So I'm going to make another row. Huh. Okay, so I got my 7th row. I'm going to do a div class equals call dash sm dash 12. It's going to be one big column. And again, before I do anything, I'm going to close it. And I'm going to put a, how big of a heading am I putting there? Let's see here, a column 12, H2 again, H2. And then I'm going to do below the H2 in the column 12, I'm going to do another P tag. I'm going to give it a class name of lead. Okay, and save it. And then I'm going to do a paragraph of text, of Latin text, just like that, I think. And the lead will, again, change the font in the paragraph to make it larger and readable. And then I'm going to do another HR underneath. So I'm going to go up here and find another row. Now again, I have my row, I have my column 12, I have my HR tag. I have closed the column and then I close the row. I'm going to grab all of that again and highlight it and come down here below my 7th row here. Again, it's still inside the container, and then paste it, and this is going to be the 8th row. And this is just another HR tag to separate it out. Okay? So right now we have 8 rows inside the container. And notice there's the line right there. And here's the, now again, this is column 12, so it has a heading and it has a paragraph of text. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is, we're almost done. I'm going to go down, again, inside the container. Here I am. Here's the closing of the container, and I'm still working inside of it. I'm going to make my 9th row. And so we have 2 more rows to get. So, or actually, this is the last one. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to do div class equals row. And again, I'm going to close that sucker off before I do anything. And then it tell me, I'll just put last row. Okay. And then I'm going to do a column 4. I'm going to do 3 column 4s. And again, the magic number to close a row is 12. So your columns in a row have to add up to 12. So I'm going to say col-sm-4, and then close the div before I do anything. And I'm also going to add that wonderful, inside the column class name of col-sm-4, I'm going to hit the space bar and say text-center. So anything inside this column 4 is going to be in the middle of that space, whatever that is. So I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to put an image. So I'm going to go up here somewhere, and I'm going to grab this image, just that line, and I'm going to come down here inside our first column 4 and paste it. Okay, now the image is going to be 300 by 200. So I'm going to make this 3 by 200. And then I guess the color, doesn't matter, so I'll keep that color. And then I'm also going to add a class name into this image tag. So this is something we haven't maybe used yet. So here's the tag, img tag, and here's it placing the image. I'm going to go past that quotation mark, but inside the angle bracket, hit the space bar, and I'm going to say class equals, and in the quotation marks, img-responsive. And what this is a bootstrap class name. So I've given this image tag a class name of img-responsive. And what that means is it's going to make it scalable. So as the device width gets smaller and smaller, the image is going to scale down with it. And this is something that we use all the time in this class, because we let Bootstrap do the scaling. Now we're going to talk to this class name in a little bit on my separate little CSS file and do some more things to it. We're going to add to the laundry list of stuff that this class name does. Okay? All right. So I've got that. Now I'm going to do 2 more of these, because remember, in a row, to close the row, you have to have 12 columns. So we have a column 4, and then here's a copy of the column 4 again, and then one more. So 4, 4, 4 equals 12, duh. And then I closed off the row, and we have 4, 4, 4 columns. And now it has a class name of img-responsive. And let me save it and then show you what we have here. okay? And the img-responsive. See how the images get smaller? Now notice they're going to the left. We're going to take care of that, okay? But see how they get smaller? That's the img-responsive. Now we haven't done that here, and it might be good to do img-responsive on this one, add the class name, and add the class name to this one. Okay, so I'm going to go into my coding really quick here and go up to where the other image is. And I'm going to say, again, I'm going to, outside the quotation mark, but inside that ending angle bracket, hit the space bar and say class equals img-responsive. And save it. And then I'm going to go up all the way to the top. And on this one too, I'm going to hit the space bar, say class equals img-responsive. Okay? And again, what that means is Bootstrap will see how our images are getting smaller as the device width gets smaller, and then when it breaks, the image is below the breaking point. But see how the image isn't in the middle of that area, and neither are these, or neither are really is that one. So we're going to add something to that img on our separate little CSS file to fix that. Okay, so that I'm done with all the coding on that. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to make a new CSS file, and I'm going to put it in this CSS folder, and I'm going to call it advanced.css. So to do that, I'm going to save what I have. All I'm going to do is in Caret or Atom, I'm going to go File, File, New File. So here's a text file, right? It has no idea what it is. First thing I'm going to do is go Files, Save File, and I'm going to put it in the CSS folder, and I'm going to call it what I called it was advanced.css. Advanced.css, and that's what I'm linking to already, but we didn't create it yet. So I'm going to save it, and then the stuff I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to the body on the web page, and I'm going to say margin, and I'm going to give it two values, 50px for the top and the bottom. That's empty space on the top and the bottom of 50 pixels. And then I'm going to hit the space bar and use the word auto. And that's going to make it in the middle of our browser page. Okay? Now, I'm also going to, again, talk to that img-responsive. So it's a class name, so I'm going to use a period. img-responsive. And I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to say margin 0 and then a space and the word auto. So as that thing gets smaller, it's going to keep it in the middle of that area rather than go by default it goes left. Okay? So then I'm also going to talk to some things for those quotes. So we use the class name quote dash text. Oh, except without the Z, and without I got to get rid of one column here. So I'm gonna on the quote text I'm gonna say font dash size, and we're gonna use 2.5 EM, and whatever normal font size is for quote text, that's 1. So we're gonna use 2.5 times that size, and then the color is going to be a hashtag and CCC. That's gray. And then the width of the quote is going to be 500 px. Okay, so the width of the quote text is 500 px. It's 2.5 times regular or normal font size for whatever that is. And then the color is going to be like a gray. And then we're also going to talk to the blog post thing. So we had another quote on the the quotes, blog-post-bottom. And we're going to talk to that, and it's going to be, the font size is going to be rather large. It's going to be 3EM, and then the color is going to be with hexadecimal color numbers. You need a hashtag before it, CC99CC, and then save it. Now, again, we've already linked to this. So there's our linking, and even before we created this little page, we put it in the CSS folder because it's looking for it in the CSS folder. And we might as well store it with all the other CSS stuff to make it nice and clean and organized. So I'll do this, and now it looks like this right now. And what's happening is, now I can create some space too. See how these are kind of tight? I could go in and give that a little bit of space. So let me go in and let me talk to img-responsive, see if we can do that way. And at the margin, let's do 5px for the top and the bottom. And I'm going to save this and refresh it. So then, see how it has some space now? I just added 5 pixels to the top and the bottom, and it made some separation. So now all of our images are in the middle. When they scale down and break, it's all in the middle. The only issue I have now is this text is a little bit too big. So I'm going to go back to, I think it's the quote text. Let me try this. Just a second. And let me refresh it, reload it, and see if that's any better here. Yeah, that's a little better. I mean, I gotta do some spacing here. You could work with that if you want to, kind of figure that out. Let me do this. So let me go to the quote text, and let's see if that does it here. Yeah, that's a little better. And then when it breaks, it's still kind of funky breaking. But we could figure that out a little bit here. Okay, so that is it. That's the advanced page. I wanted to make that video, so there you go.